Hey mate, before you enjoy today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the free 14-day transformation that we are currently running inside of the Unbreakable Man team. Now, if you're a man on the Gold Coast who's serious about improving his physical and mental health, building his self-confidence, and you want to become a part of a team of motivated and like-minded men, then this is the best chance that you are going to get. So as part of the 14-day transformation, you're going to get a personalized meal plan and a recipe cookbook to help you get your diet under control. You're going to be training with myself and the Unbreakable Man team for 2 whole weeks, and I'll be there by your side, helping you overcome any of the challenges that you will face along the way. If that sounds good, then get in touch with me by emailing me at mitch@unbreakableman.com.au. You can find all of my contact details on the website, which is just www.unbreakableman.com.au. Or you can message me on social media. Instagram is unbreakableman_challenge, and Facebook is just Unbreakable Man. That sounds good to you? Hit me up. I hope to hear from you soon. Back to the episode. Hey brother, Coach Mitch here, and welcome to this week's episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. Now in today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to discuss the most recent Unbreakable Man Retreat that we ran 2 weeks ago. And the reason why I thought it would be good to have a chat about this is because the whole point of running these events is to help men gain clarity around the things that they need to change in their life in order to get to where they're trying to get to, and to build confidence in their ability to actually take those actions and create those outcomes. And we all need that. Once again, I've said this in previous podcast episodes, but if you're watching this or you're listening to this, then you're here because you want to be better. You're a bloke and you want to improve your life. And 2 things you're going to need in order to do that is clarity and confidence. If we don't know where we're trying to get to, or we can't see the things in our life that are holding us back, we're unaware of these things, then we're not likely to end up taking a lot of productive action towards improving the things in our life that we want to change. Because we don't know what it is we're trying to change them into, and we can't necessarily see exactly what those problems are. You know, most men are walking through their life making the same mistake over and over again and not even realizing it until something in their life breaks, until they get handed divorce papers, or until they have a real health scare, or until they are made redundant. Like, it's only when the actual problem occurs do we go, oh shit, I've got to solve this. Yet there were probably many signs leading up to that moment kind of letting you know that something was about to go wrong, and we either ignored them deliberately or we simply just weren't paying enough attention. And the reason why I think that's the case for a lot of blokes is because we all have our daily problems that we've got to solve. You know, we have our job to do, and we've got, you know, a house to keep clean, and we've got kids to run around after, perhaps for those of you who are fathers. We have a lot of responsibility already and kind of daily fires that we need to put out in our life. And we're so focused on solving those problems that we miss the big picture things that we perhaps fail to invest in on a daily basis because they're not a problem yet. You know, like you might not see your marriage as an issue until your wife starts talking to you about how unhappy she is and how she's been thinking about leaving you. And you go, oh, fuck, I've got to solve this. But you could have been doing something about it every day for the last 10 years and never had to deal with this issue, never let it get to that point. But a lot of blokes are failing to see those problems before they arise. Or we just don't want to see them because it's a hard thing to face. And that's kind of where the confidence element of this comes into. You know, there's a lot of men who I bring on these experiences who aren't very good at goal setting, or aren't very good at kind of analyzing where their life is right now and seeing the things that they need to do about it because it's scary, because it's confronting. It doesn't exactly paint us in a favorable light. And it's difficult to take all of that on board on top of those day-to-day challenges and issues that we have to address as well. However, it is my belief that in doing this and in seeing those issues before they arise, or being aware of, the positive things that we want to add into our lives, by seeing this early and by taking on the responsibility of making those changes over time and building the confidence along the way to consistently do that, your life is way better. You're fitter, you're stronger, you're more resilient, you're mentally fitter, you have better relationships, you end up enjoying your work more or finding more enjoyable work, you have more adventure in your life, you have more intimacy in your life. There's no downside to this, but it's just difficult. It's not an easy process. It requires time investment, requires energy investment, requires financial investment, requires you to learn things that you're perhaps not naturally that good at. So we run these events, and we've ran 5 of these retreats so far to give fellas 2.5 days where the only responsibility that they have is to focus on themselves and on the things that they need to improve and the things that they want to accomplish or change in their lives. And then we test them both physically and mentally to help them gain the confidence to actually take those steps. Because confidence, in my opinion, is a skill. Confidence is a byproduct of competence. When we have done something in the past, our confidence that we can repeat that same action, it's way higher than if it's something completely new to us. And we help guys take the first step with a team of like-minded fellas, as well as a team of leaders around them to encourage them and help them create strategies on how to overcome some of those mental barriers that stop us from taking the physical actions in our lives. And that's what we focus on at the Unbreakable Man Retreat. And it's an outdoor experience, so we're camping. Everything's all set up for the fellas when they arrive. It's a matter of just getting there, finding your tent, putting your stuff in the tent, and then myself and my leaders, we run these guys through the whole experience over the next 2.5 days. And all you have to do is simply focus on taking those actions that we put in front of you, and extracting the value by participating with 100% of your capability. So yeah, it's a very outdoorsy experience. We do a lot of hiking. Because we're at Muggera Dam, we were kayaking as well. And I don't like to give away too much about what we actually do on the Unbreakable Man Retreat, because a large part of the thing that we want to teach men how to do is how to become comfortable with the unknown. Because that, to me, is one of the main reasons why a lot of guys don't take actions on the issues in their life or don't take action to improve their life, is because there's a lot of unknowns and uncertainty around those actions. The thought of changing your career because you're unhappy with the one that you're working in is very scary. Who knows how that's going to go? But remember, the alternative is that you work the rest of your life in a career that you fucking hate. So you've got guaranteed unhappiness or uncertainty. And it's a shame to me that most men will pick the devil they know over the possibility of creating something that they actually want in their life. And again, this is why I run these events, because I want men to take the second option. I want men to shoot for the thing that they really want instead of settling for something that they're actually not happy with, or that is less than what they are capable of. Because we're all going to get to a point in our future where we realize how stupid the things that we let stop us really were. We realize how dumb it is to care that much about what other people think about our actions. Because those people, that's their life and it's their problem to have that opinion. It's got nothing to do with us and has no bearing on our ability to succeed unless we let it. But a lot of men do. So some of the results that some of the guys have gotten from these events in the past, there's one that really stands out to me, and you can actually go and find this podcast episode. It was with Nick Mahoney, and the podcast episode is like 2 hours. It goes really in depth about his experience on the retreat. I can't remember what number it was. It probably would have been episode somewhere in the 30s, but solid episode. And you know, for a guy like Nick, basically coming and doing the retreat pretty much saved his relationship. Like, they were on the brink. and if you watch the episode of his experience and what was happening, then you will understand exactly why. And some of the conversations that we had with Nick over the course of the retreat helped him understand the simple mistakes he was making on a regular basis that he didn't see. Like, if you're, and we do this all the time, guys. We create habits in our lives that become so ingrained that we don't see them as problems anymore. You know, like you just walking past the snack bar at work and just grabbing a few lollies every single time you go past. That's so ingrained and happens so automatically and is so instinctual that we don't recognize the long-term impact of us consistently doing that. And so Nick was basically making a mistake like that over and over and over again, and it was destroying his relationship, which was going to destroy his future. And so he left that retreat with clarity around the precise steps that he needed to take to clean up his act and get himself back on the right path. And since then, we've had many conversations about how his relationship has not been this strong in the last 10 years than it is right now. So relationships are a massive thing that we want to help our guys improve, because at the end of the day, one of the most important things about our lives and about making sure our lives are positive and productive is the quality of the relationships that we have in it. And so many men are struggling with their relationships, struggling to either maintain a good one or struggling to create a new good one or find a new partner that's actually good for them. And a lot of guys fall into the trap of building a relationship with someone who's not right for them and not realizing it until it's too late. So many of the fellows that come along to these events, their relationships benefit greatly from it. And not just that, but I mean, confidence just in general, whether it's confidence to take the actions that we need to take to get to where we're trying to get to, or just actually feeling comfortable in our own skin, is a life-changing attitude switch that there's not a single bloke on this planet that wouldn't benefit from. And when it comes to building confidence, kind of going back to what I said earlier about it stemming from competence, if you've had enough experiences in your life up until this point that have shown you what you're capable of, that have shown you the kind of person that you are, that have shown you how you are able to overcome fear in the moment. If you have those experiences in the bank and you've also consistently added to that bank over time, like that's just part of your habits, is you challenge yourself, you take on your fears, you don't shy away from them. If that's part of your arsenal, then your confidence in yourself, it's unmatched compared to where you would be otherwise. You know, I think the most dangerous way to live your life is to play it safe. Because if we do that, we are completely unprepared for when things go wrong. When they go wrong, not if they go wrong, when they go wrong. You are guaranteed to deal with hardship and probably traumatic experiences in your life. If you haven't already, then you're very lucky. But they're coming for you. They are in your future, whether it's tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now. They're in your future, I guarantee it, because it's part of life. And when we fail to challenge ourselves by choice, when those challenges hit us and it isn't something that we have a say in, we're so underprepared it's not funny. And those things have the opportunity to break us. And that's the reason why UBM is called Unbreakable Man, because that's what we're trying to develop. You know, clarity and confidence. You have those two things. You know where you are going, and you truly believe that you can take the steps to get there. Then anything that stands in your way, whilst it might knock you down, is not going to keep you down. It's not going to stop you from trying again and trying again and trying again until you accomplish the outcome that you're trying to get to in your life. And that's what being an unbreakable man is all about. And that's what we are trying to help fellas accomplish when they come and join us on an Unbreakable Man Retreat. So, what's something cool I could finish off with here? I'll give you a story from the most recent retreat, and I will actually reveal one of the challenges in there, because this is a really interesting story, and it just goes to show how doing these sorts of challenges as part of your regular life on a consistent basis, how that allows you to overcome obstacles in the moment. And this is how I'll finish this episode, guys. But a story from the most recent retreat. And I'm still thinking about it, 2 weeks later, and I'm still feeling very proud of how we handled this. This was probably the most challenging retreat that I've ran, the one that we ran just in the middle of May. And the reason for that is because a lot of things didn't go exactly to plan. And one of the biggest things was the main activity on the second day was a cliff dive. And we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that this was both efficient in terms of the way we were doing it, because we had a lot of guys that we were coaching that weekend. There was 10 dudes that we had to look after and manage, in this environment. So if we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that this was efficient and also safe. Safety is a massive area of thought for me whenever we do something like this, because I want this to be a really positive experience. We've really got to look after the guys when they're there. It's my duty of care to make sure that you're safe in everything that we do when we do one of these retreats. And we put a lot of effort into the safety aspect of it. So it was a cliff dive, and I had my leaders set up ropes all along the cliff, so guide ropes for the fellas to hold onto when they were walking across the top of the cliff, and then ropes to help them position themselves on the jumps that we were going to be doing. And one of my guys also has his ticket for vertical rescue as well. So all these ropes it's not just some random fella putting some granny knots in a rope. It's professionally set up and done really well. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and it was going to be an awesome activity. It was going to test the guys exactly the way that we want to. We want to help fellas have an experience where they're afraid, they're nervous, they don't really know what's going to happen. They have to let go of control of the situation to a degree. They have to sort of step outside of their comfort zone so that they have an experience outside of that comfort zone and realize that they can handle it, that it's okay, and that it's actually going to produce a feeling within them that they're really excited about. Think about some of your biggest achievements. A lot of them were the result of you doing something that you didn't think you could do. This is very much like that. We want fellas to have an experience like that, because that's what sticks with us, and that's what we think about next time we're in a situation where we're afraid. We remember that, hey, I've been afraid before and I still did it. And afterwards I felt great about it, so I can do it again. And that's the experience we want fellas to have. And so we set up this cliff dive. We did it really well. We got a couple of guys off the cliff, and then SEQ water showed up and shut the whole thing down. And only a third of the fellas had actually done the activity at this point. And they came into the area where we were with the boat, and yeah, it sucked. It was really kind of deflating you know, I'm sure for a lot of the other guys, but for me, it was really deflating. I was like, man, we've put so much work into this, and it's exactly the kind of activity that I think is really good for these guys, because, you know, a lot of fellas, we tend to start to play it safe as we get older. You know, the risk factor increases, and I understand why. However, it's also the thing that keeps us small, that reduces our level of self-confidence, which reduces our ability to create the life we're looking for. And this is the kind of stuff that helps guys get out of that zone. And yeah, look, they shut it down, we couldn't do it, and it was a massive bummer. Really, you know, in the past, that sort of thing would have really, really been hard to deal with, and quite disappointing. And at the same time, you know, all these fellas are here, they've paid for this experience. You know, I take it on as my personal responsibility to make sure that there's not a single bloke that leaves the campsite after the end of the weekend and doesn't feel like he got a shit ton of value out of the experience. It doesn't, and feels like he's got stuff to take home with him to vastly improve his life. I take that very seriously, and I take it very personally. That's what I'm here to do, and I will do it. And you know, this felt like it could have been something that would have jeopardized my ability to do that. And it certainly could have been. And after that happened, you know, we had to pull all the ropes down and abandon this activity before, you know, even half the guys actually had the opportunity to do it. And, you know, all the guys understood, and, you know, wasn't much we could do about it. But it's still like, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't acceptable. That's not how we do things. You know, we're here to produce a result, and we will produce that result, and we'll keep trying until we get to that point. And so we ended up going to a little patch on the lake to have lunch. And whilst we were having lunch, myself and the leadership team, we got together and we asked ourselves the question, okay, what can we do to still give these guys a challenge? You know, we're not just going to go back to the campsite empty-handed and kind of with our tail between our legs. No way. That's not our style. We're here to make a difference. We're here to help these fellas really push themselves. How can we do that? And we came up with a plan as to what challenge we were going to do instead. And basically it ended up with the 3 team leaders were basically pretending to be unconscious guys that had got stuck in the water, and they had to be rescued and paddled back to camp by a team of 3 or 4 of the other attendees who were there. And look, that ended up going off without a hitch. Like, it was a great addition to the itinerary that we hadn't planned for. We literally came up with this plan in about 60 seconds, put it together, put the teams onto it, and in the end, it was a really difficult challenge for the fellas that were actually there, and ended up being a very positive thing in the end. And a lot of the guys left feeling like that was the case as well. And what I love about that whole experience is that that allowed us to demonstrate what Unbreakable Man is all about. Something didn't go our way, and we didn't just drop our heads, accept the fact that we couldn't do what we wanted to do, and go home. No, we asked ourselves the question, well, what can we do instead? How are we going to solve this problem? And then we came up with an answer, and that answer ended up working out really well in the end. Ended up being a really positive experience for the guys. And I think that the fellas who were attendees there and saw us do that, I think that's an inspiring thing as well. Because we're literally putting into practice the things that we talk about all the time, right then and there, right in front of them, and turning a negative into a positive. And that's what it's all about. It's not the things that happen to us that determine the quality of our lives. It's what we do about the things that happen to us that determines the quality of our lives. You must take responsibility for the quality of your life. We can't blame it on other people, other things, extenuating circumstances, because we can't control those things, but we can control what we choose to do next. So, in the end, it was a wonderful retreat. All the fellows who came down, despite the challenges that we faced, and that wasn't the only one, that was just kind of the big one that stood out. Despite all of that, everyone had a great time. You know, the conversations that we had are the kind of conversations that you're not going to have at home. with your partner, that you're probably not going to have with your mates at the pub, you know, that you might not even typically talk about at all. But the opportunity to get these sorts of things off your chest around a whole group of fellas who understand, who get it, who are there to help you overcome those issues. It's like you've dropped a weight. You are now able to move more freely in your life without that baggage, and you're able to better solve the issues that are creating that baggage in the first place. So it was a wonderful event. I can't wait for the next one. The next one is in October. It's from the 11th till the 13th of October. And if you have ever considered doing an Unbreakable Man Retreat, maybe you're already aware that we run these things. If you've ever considered it, then at the very least, dude, comment down below or flick me a message. You can email me at mitch@unbreakableman.com.au, or you can catch up with me on Facebook or Instagram with Unbreakable Man _challenge on Instagram or Unbreakable Man on Facebook. And you can contact me, get in contact with me and have this conversation around what it is that you're looking to create. You know, if you've considered joining us on one of these events, firstly, I don't think there's a bloke on the planet that wouldn't benefit from it, because even if you're in a great spot, that's a good opportunity for you to then double down on that and set up how you're gonna reproduce that greatness over the next 5 to 10 years. And you're gonna have an amazing fun time whilst you're doing it. And for those of you who are in a rough spot or having a hard time in some area of your life, then it's one of the best places to be, because you actually give yourself the space and the time to really dig deep into what it is that you're struggling with and what you can do about it, and you become part of a team of blokes who are dedicated to helping you do just that. So the next one's in October from the 11th till the 13th. If you've ever considered it, comment down below. If you're now just hearing about it for the first time and you think that sounds really cool, comment down below or flick me a message and let's have a conversation. You know, you're not making any commitments just by having a conversation. All you're doing is having a chat with me about what it is you would want to get out of it. And then we can make sure that this is something that would actually help you accomplish that goal. So, like I said, lads, October's the next one. We're not going to have another one until 2025, probably around May. And, you know, if you want to do it, and there's just might be a few things or issues that you need to kind of iron out so that you can make the time for it, or get the financials together for it, then by all means, let's have a conversation about it and see what we can do. You know, at the end of the day, this is about helping guys make these sorts of decisions for themselves. And it's my job to make that as easy and as painless as possible so that you can do what you need to do to make those changes. All right, with that said, brother, have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will speak to you again on the next one. Cheers.
Hey mate, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. If you did, it would be absolutely fantastic if you could leave us a 5-star review, because that's going to help us get our message in front of more men who need to hear it. Now, if you have some feedback for me, I'd love to hear that too. Comment down below. And if you just need some mini doses of Unbreakable Man motivation throughout your week, then you can follow us across all social platforms. On Facebook, it's Unbreakable Man Challenge. On Instagram, it's Unbreakable Man _challenge. And on TikTok and YouTube, it's just Unbreakable Man. Your support would be absolutely invaluable. Now, last but not least, do not forget, men aren't born, they're built.